Oh, welcome back to Bullet Catcher Gaming. This is, of course, Ghost Recon Breakpoint. I've got two very special guests with me today. You'll all know Jeremy from DangerCloseDigital.com and also Sandy, aka Sandylands. He is from our Discord. You may have seen him on one of our podcasts. Now, we've done a few videos recently or over the last few months regarding weapons that you'd like to see in game. I've also talked about some of the weapons that I'd like to see in game, but we have done quite a lot of in-depth research and asking you guys and asking people on the Discord of the types of things, types of weapons they'd like to see. Sandy paid a lot of attention to those videos, and he has put together some amazing pictures that look like they were almost captured in game of some of the weapons that were asked for in that video. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk to Sandy quickly about what he did and how he did them. And then Jeremy is going to talk to you a little bit about a scale so we could give you maybe some statistics for what these weapons could be. But I will reiterate very quickly, these are not in the game. We have no idea if they're ever coming to the game. We hope they're coming to the game. At the moment, these are not coming to the game. These are mock-ups that Sandy did. Talented guy, put these together. One thing I will note, though, that the statistics that you'll see on each weapon are just statistics that he's used from in-game. They are not the statistics that we are giving these weapons. So ignore the statistics on the weapon page in the gunsmith. It's just the picture of the weapon that we're showing for a visual aid of what they may look like. So, Sandy, tell us a little bit before we go into some weapons that you've created. Tell us a little bit about how you went about doing this.
So, the concept idea, so, for example, one of the weapons we're going to showcase later on, which I'd say was my pet project, I started just by doing it on MS Paint, strangely enough. After watching the video, I just got it into my head. I was like, I wonder if I could create that weapon using in-game graphics already. And it just kind of snowballed for there, really.
Okay. That's cool. I mean, you've done a really fantastic job, really nice job. The first picture that you sent me, without telling me what you'd done, I actually got quite excited, thinking that you'd seen this weapon for real somewhere, and then I, dropped back down to earth and realised that it wasn't. But no, really good job. So, okay, we're going to explain a little bit before we hit these 10 weapons that we're going to go through. So Jeremy's going to tell you a little bit about. You're going to kind of be judging these weapons, aren't you, Jeremy? We're going to look at a scale that you have created, and then we're going to attempt to guess, and it is guesswork, what Ubisoft would give the stats for these weapons if they were in the game for a bit of fun. So, Jeremy, tell us a little bit about this scale that you're going to use and how it came about.
So, well, first off, I'll go over how it came about. And it came about because there are so many questions as to why is this particular weapon so powerful versus this weapon. They both shoot the same round. They're both basically the same length. And it's become pretty apparent over time that some of the statistics that they put on these guns are just kind of willy-nilly and just pulled out of thin air. So I'd like to kind of re-ground it a little bit in some reality, and we'll take some of the averages of some of the rounds themselves and look at the joules of energy that they carry and base damage levels based on that. That will provide a base scale for each of the weapons based on the caliber that they shoot. The length of the barrel, considering that there isn't any rifling settings or anything like that in the gunsmith that would indicate that it's a faster spinning barrel. I would have to assume that they're all just basically baseline rifling. And so using that, I came up with a scale for the 6 major calibers that we have in the game. And if you like, I can go over them real quick. But starting with the 7.62 rounds, so there's basically two types of 7.62 rounds. There's the 7.62 NATO, and then there's the 7.62 by 39 AK round. So I just want to point out that gets a little confusing. But the 7.62 NATO, in real life, the average is about 2,700 feet per second and delivers about 2,600 joules of energy. Now 2,600 is a big number, and it gets a little hard to manage, so I take those and I divide them by 100 to get the damage. So a rifle that shoots a 7.62 NATO round, in effect, would have a damage of 26. The 7.62 by 39 has a damage of 21. The 5.56 round would have a damage of 18. The 338 Lapua would have a damage of 69. A 9mm round shot from either a pistol or a SMG, on average, would have a damage of 4. I know that sounds funny, but it is based on real life. And then the 45 ACP, shot through a pistol or an SMG like the Vector, its damage would be 5. So the damage levels are quite different than what we see, but we have to remember that those are based on the caliber of the round that is being shot, and not just randomly assigned because a particular designer at Ubisoft liked this gun better and decided to give it 32 damage. These are a little bit more grounded, so that's the scale I would like to see. How they can do any kind of variation that they want to, but I would like to see some sort of 1-to-1 ratio between the round that's being used and the damage that it's causing.
Okay, so just for an example, so anyone listening fully understands your scale, because we're going to try and use both. So in the game, the G36 has a damage on a Mark III of 22, and obviously it's a 5.56. So on your scale, that would then be
18.
18. Okay, right. So hopefully people at least understand then what we're trying to do, base a kind of realistic scale. So if Ubisoft were kind of to wipe the slate clean and start again, your scale, we're kind of using your scale. But we are going to also, like we said, take some guesses. So we've chosen 10. There's loads more, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more at the end of the video. So we're going to start off with our 10. So the first one that Sandy created, that's on our list, is a very popular one that lots of people have been asking for, is the G19. So first things first, Jeremy, what would the G19 be on your scale? Would that be a 4?
Well, the G19 is 9mm
Right.
so that would be a 4, yes.
Right, so a 4. Okay, so let's have a think then. Realistically, judging by the weapons in the game, what do you think Ubisoft would give the G19?
I think Ubisoft would probably give it a 19 or 20.
Okay, you think? What about you, Sandy? What do you think? Do you think around that?
I think it's around that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say that was pretty accurate, judging by other pistols and stuff of that caliber. I'd say that's probably a good one. You have created the G19 really nicely. This probably gets brought up. The Glocks get brought up so often. We know it's all about the licensing issues, but it's a beautiful pistol. I'd love to see it in the game. Okay, so I'm going to choose one, and this was one that I specifically asked Sandy to create, seen in John Wick 2 specifically, the Taran Tactical AR-15. So, Jeremy, what statistic would this get on your scale?
Well, the Taran Tactical AR-15 is a 5.56, so it would receive an 18 damage on my scale. Okay,
so what about Ubisoft's damage rate? What do you think they would give this? Now, I'm going to say My guess is they would give this between a 27 to a 32.
I agree with that.
Probably somewhere around there. It's so hard to judge because I went through, before we record this, I went through and just looked across all the weapons in the game, and some of them are so difficult to judge. What do you think, Sandy? If you could absolutely nail it down, what about 29? I could see a 29 being a good number for them.
So I'm just looking now. I'm thinking it would probably get a 32 around about what the M4A1 Scout is, because chances are they would probably just reskin the M4A1 Scout.
Good point. Yeah, let's face it, most of the weapons that they're using now are reskins of other weapons, a bit like the Mark 18 and the 516. They didn't even bother changing the stats for that, did they? So
yeah,
exactly.
And the stats are arbitrary anyways.
This is very true. Very true. So what about then the third one on our list, realised here beautifully, once again by Sandy's work, is the 417, popular weapon in Rainbow Six Siege, for example. So the 417, Jeremy, on your scale would be?
Well, it's a 7.62 NATO, so that one would be 26.
26. Now, what do we think Ubisoft would give this? I think they would give this a much higher damage, somewhere around the late 30s to 40s, 39 to 42. What do you think?
I was thinking 35, 37. But I could
okay. Do you think, sorry, Sandy, just before you go, do you think that Ubi they do make some strange decisions with their weapons. Do you think they would put this down as a DMR?
Yes, I think so. Based on the barrel length.
Yeah, I thought they might. Well, go on, Sandy. What was you going to say?
That's what I was going to say. I think it would fall in the DMR category. And because it's so similar in some aspects to the G28, I think once again it would be a reskin, and you would probably be looking at about 54 for damage.
It could go that high, to be fair, especially if they do put it in as a DMR. I could see them doing that. It's definitely obviously dependent on whether they go ASR DMR. The numbers could change quite drastically. So if we're saying it's a DMR, we're thinking what did you think for the DMR, Jeremy, for Ubi's damage? Do you think it'll be higher, 40 something, 50 something?
Yeah, it could be 47 to 52, I think, maybe. I don't use DMRs a whole lot, so I'm not familiar with the average range.
That's probably in and around an average, I'd say, about that. Okay, so on to Sandy's next one then. So we've got... Now, there are some people that say this gun's already in the game. It definitely is not, but you're entitled to your opinion. One of my favourites from Wildlands, or my favourite from Wildlands, is the ACR. You've done a really nice job of this. Actually looks like an ACR. The Silver Stake is not an ACR. I know there'll be someone in the comments say yes it is, but you're entitled to that opinion, but it's not.
No, it took it. I mean, there was similarities between the two weapons, but having to recreate it, you obviously use that as a base weapon. But yeah, it's definitely very different. Yes.
Definitely, yeah, that's interesting as well. That you obviously it made sense to use it as a base weapon. They do look fairly similar. So, on your scale, Jeremy, what would the ACR be coming in at?
See, on the normalized scale, Spy 5.6 would be an 18.
Okay, so an 18. What do we think about Ubisoft scale? I don't think they'd put this very high. I think they would put this at about 26.
I would agree. I was going to say 27, but 26 is
yeah, definitely 26. Actually, are there actually any weapons in the game that are a 26? I can't remember. There might be a couple, but 27 is a much more popular number. There's a lot more weapons. There are quite a lot of weapons that are 27 damage, especially on Mark 3s. So in and around, what do you think, Sandy? Does that sound right to you?
I think they would do a Mark 18 because it's such a popular weapon and it gets asked for all the time. I reckon they'd Mark 18 us I reckon it'd be a 22.
Do you think so? Do you
Yeah, I
not
reckon
think?
Just to
Do you
spite
not
us.
think though? Do you not think that they just gave the Mark 18 the 22 because they literally just took the 516 because the 516 is a 22 as well? Do you not think that? Do you think we'd end up getting what this if they use the silver stake like you've done for the kind of overlay and then skin it? They'll use whatever the silver stake stats are, which I don't have to hand at the moment.
I'll just check what that is.
That would be the super lazy way, so I'm going to say yes.
I think they might
That'd
go with
That'd be a 37.
a 37. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's high for a 556.
Well, they assigned 37 to the silver stake because it was Walker's signature weapon.
Wasn't
Yeah.
that the silver stake tactical? Or was that the normal silver stake? I forgot.
Two seconds.
Both of them.
Double-check
They're
that.
both the same.
Again,
I'll just double check that actually.
pluck that number out of the air.
Yeah, they're both the same.
Okay. Well, interesting. All right then. Well, okay. Well, I thought they would definitely go mid 20s to 27, something like that. You thought 22, but maybe they would give it a 37. Maybe they would actually go completely do the opposite to the Mark 18 and give it a really good high number. But maybe it will just have absolutely terrible recoil. They won't give you that number and then give you a nice a weapon with a nice recoil. There'll be some offshoot to it, which will let it down, which will be sad. But okay, so we've had 4 so far, haven't we? So on to the next one then, where we've got the another weapon that comes up quite a lot, the LVOA. So Jeremy, on the Jeremy scale, what damage would be the LVOA?
That would be 18 as well.
Another 18, okay, because of standardized 556 ASR, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, that makes sense. So what about in game? Because we've got a weapon already, haven't we, which is similar to the LVOA.
Yeah, I don't remember the scaling between Wildlands and Breakpoint, if it was similar for crossover weapons. I remember it's pretty high in Wildlands.
Yeah, some were and some were well off. Like the Mark 18, for example, it had a much higher damage in Wildlands than it does in Breakpoint. I think Ubisoft would give this something that I think they'd go for about 29 to 32.
I was just thinking 31.
Yeah, that sounds about right to me. I think overall, I would say.
Yeah,
So
I think it'd be in that window.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
it'd be in that window.
It's going to be artificially high because the original VOA in Wildlands was a reward for owning another game. So there's that little bit of a push going on there. But I think 31 is what UB would do.
Okay, so next up we have the MCX, another weapon that comes up loads and times, but people want. The MCX then, Jeremy, on the Jeremy scale?
Well, I'm trying to find the MCX on my list here. What's the caliber for that?
556.
That one's
556.
That'd be another 18. Yeah, I'm pretty boring today, but I normalized the scale. So
yeah, but this would be really handy if they did this to like you said, to keep it fairly consistent above. Yeah. Why are there huge differences between certain rifles of the same caliber? It doesn't make a lot of sense. So your scale makes a lot more sense. It'd be a lot easier to judge if we had that on all the weapons. So on the Ubisoft scale then, MCX, I think they would add a shit ton of recoil to this gun. I don't know why, I just think they would. And I think they would end up giving it about a 25 damage. Maybe even a 22.
I don't know. I would say somewhere between those two. And I agree, they probably would give it a bunch of crazy recoil. They really don't have any clue. So
you can just tell sometimes a new weapon comes out, you don't even have to have used it, and you look at it, you haven't even seen stats, and you kind of go, that's going to have really bad recoil.
Yeah, it's going to be nerfed hard. Yeah.
It's really weird. You can kind of tell what they're going to do to it judged off of all the other weapons you've used, you can kind of just take a really good guess.
Yeah, just look at it and think, if I was going to make a really bad decision about this gun, what would it be? And that's probably what it's going to be.
So, Sandy, what do you think? Do you think we've got that?
Yeah, I'd say that's probably right. Yeah, mid-20s. Maybe, potentially, with it being... I mean, it's technically in the SMG range still, so possibly up as far as 31, but and the same as the Honey Badger.
Yeah, true. It is quite a powerful weapon. Yeah, you're right. Okay, interesting. All right, so the next one that we are going to take a look at, now this one has come up a lot as well. We've talked about this in previous videos. So we've got multiple versions that Sandy's done of this. So we'll use the L119A2 long for this one. This would almost definitely go down as a DMR, the long version, wouldn't it? If they used this,
Yeah.
Almost 100% they would put this as a DMR. Obviously, there is the shorter barrel version. We'll throw that in the pictures at the end of some of the other weapons, so you can see that. But obviously, here is the long. It's a really nice weapon, actually. I really do like this weapon. So, Jeremy, on the I'm not going to call it the Jeremy scale anymore. The realistic scale.
Yeah, the normalized.
Let's call it that one. What would this be?
Well, all right. So if we're going to classify this as a DMR, I should probably qualify that a little bit. This is a 5.56, so this would be an 18 base. However, it is a DMR. The only real difference between a DMR and a standard ASR is they have longer barrels and probably a little tighter twist rate on the barrel, so probably give a little more accuracy, a little more oomph. So I would say this one's probably going to be about a 22 on the normalized scale.
Okay. So what about the Ubi scale? I'm going to go 51. What do you guys think?
It feels a little high, but I could
too high.
It feels that way, but they're so scattered on their standards. It's hard to say. It could very well be a 51 if they ever implemented it.
I reckon it would be about 37.
Really? That low?
Yeah, just a bit high, because it's still a 5.56 at the end of the day.
True, so actually. Yeah,
maybe
I did
much more damage.
No, maybe. Yeah, I mean, considering the Coblin is 37 on a 7.762, yeah, I could see them do. Yeah, you're probably right. I probably went way overboard there. I'm going to change it to maybe a 42. I think.
Yeah.
Maybe if they classify it as a DMR, which they should really. Okay, so we'll move on to the next one. And on the next one, we have got, so I knew you would put this one in there, the L85A3. And there's a lot of controversy about some of the British assault rifles in this game, that they are not correct at all. I'm sure Sandy can go into a bit more detail about that. Lots of people already know about it. But so, Jeremy, the realistic scale?
Let's see. What is it? I have a hard time seeing this. Is that 5.56? It's got to be 5.56
yeah.
in that magazine.
It'd be a 5.56.
Yeah, it would be 18.
Okay, back on the 18 again. Do you know what? I like this scale of yours. I do. It's just nice. If we knew... Well, yeah, because if they suddenly said to us, you're getting 5 new guns, and they told us what they were, we'd automatically know. All right, okay, it'll be that, that'll be that, that'll be that.
Well, it just makes more sense.
Just instead
most
of this
guns
potluck.
shoot pretty similar to each other. The only thing that's really different is manual of arms. So
yeah,
I mean.
So they've messed these up before. So where do we think Ubi would put this on the Ubi scale? I feel this is one of those types of weapons that it would just be thrown out there. Like it would just be random. It would really feel mega random to me. And I think they'd stick this at I don't know. Sometimes I think they look at a weapon and go, that one's quite big. We'll make it higher. I think they'd look at this and go, that looks heavier than some of the others, so it means it probably packs more of a punch. We'll give it a 31 or a 32, even though it probably shouldn't be it should probably be about a 27, judging by the other weapons in that class.
Okay.
But I think they'd give it a 32.
That's funny because kind of similar along the lines of what you're thinking. I think that they look at guns and they look, oh, that looks really scary, and lean into them a bit. It's not so much that they're a big gun, but they're a very scary looking gun.
Scary looking gun.
Yeah, this is just my observation. I could be completely wrong, but yeah, I would have to agree with your assessment. As far as the UB scale goes, I think it's a little more futuristic and mean-looking gun, so I think they'll lean into it fairly hard and go on the high end there. So, yeah, I agree with your score.
Sandy, what do you think?
Once again, I think they would literally just reskin the L85A2C, so you would get a damage of 32. And to be honest, they need to reskin the A2C. It's
Just remind people why it's an abomination, in case some people are unaware.
So, Ubisoft, for some bizarre reason, when they were deciding to implement the A2, instead of using what they had in Wildlands, which was perfect, they have Googled it, found an airsoft-only version that was never put into real military production, and went, that's the one we're having. The one gun that doesn't exist in real life.
And that is a, if I remember off the top of my head, a Korean-owned airsoft company.
Yes, ICS.
Yeah, South Korean-owned airsoft company. I'm sure it's South Korean. I'm sure it is. Yeah, it is. It definitely is. So there you go.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, that shows how much actual R&D goes into designing these guns.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so we're going to do one more, and then we're going to talk about a follow-up video that we're going to make that we need your help and input with. So the last one on the list, and I know this is a favourite of Sandy's, so it is the FAL OSW, as you can see here, looking nice. So, Jeremy, on the realistic scale, this one's a 7.62, obviously.
Yeah, that one would be 26.
Now, before we discuss the UB score for the damage, do you think they would put this? This, for me, should be in assault rifles, but would they put it in the DMRs?
Not this particular one.
This one, because it's the shorter barrel version.
This particular model is, in fact, intentionally meant to be the short barrel version of a FAL. I actually own this in real life.
Okay, but don't forget, Jeremy, they did put the Honey Badger in the submachine guns.
That's true. Its caliber should have immediately eliminated it from that list, but once again, Ubisoft is just kind of pulling numbers out of the air and making decisions that aren't really based in anything, just kind of random. So it's hard to say. I think it's definitely an ASR.
See, for me, on the UB scale for damage, this should be relatively high for its class. But I think they'd put it middle of the road. I think they'd give this a 29.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
What do you think, Sandy?
See, once again, I think the easiest thing, because Ubisoft likes to do the easiest thing, is I think they would just reskin what they've already got and still give you a 32.
You're probably right.
I think rather than giving it a whole new set of stats, except as we've talked about before, they would just reskin what they've already got, and boom, everything would be the same.
I don't know if anyone's noticed this or not, actually, and it may not be on every weapon, so don't quote me on it, but I found a lot of the earlier reskins in, say, the first 9 to 10 months of the game's life cycle. The weapon statistics, when they did a reskin, were very different. Each one the damage could be different by 10.
Yeah, I remember that.
on particular versions, even though they were in the same class. When you start going past, say, the 10, 11 month mark of the game being out, and then those weapons coming in, whenever they did a reskin there, you'd suddenly find the statistics were much more either closer to the original or an exact of the original. And literally being a reskin,
Well, not only that,
almost in name only.
Not only that, they went back and changed some of the damage scores in some of the originals.
They did. Yes, they did do that. Yeah, very true. Okay, so we're going to now show you some pictures, some of the other pictures that Sandy has created, some other weapons. But now we want your help. On the Discord, if you'd like to join the Discord, the link's in the description below and on the front of the channel. In the Discord, you will find a channel in there. We're going to call it something along the lines of Sandy's Weapons or Sandy's Guns or something along those lines. You'll find it easily enough. And in there, Sandy's going to be talking to people, putting up ideas, putting up pictures, things like that. But you can also join in the comments down below as well. We'd like to see any weapons that you want to see in the gun that you'd like to see realised, and Sandy will create them and we'll make a video. We'll pick another 10 just randomly from the ones that are suggested, but obviously not the same ones or guns that are already in game. And we'll go through and we'll do another video and we'll have a bit of fun. And, and if you want us to go into the statistics even deeper on them, if you want us to guess Ubisoft, what kind of ammo that, maybe what kind of magazines they would give us, you just let us know. If people want to hear us go in a bit more depth, then we will. But we'll go through, have a look at Jeremy's realistic scale again, and then Ubisoft scale. So just put down in the comments below or join the Discord and come in and chat about this and on Sandy's channel on the Discord. And we'd love to see you on there. Just put down what you want. You can put 1, 2, you can put 10, as many as you like. And Jeremy, Sandy and I will jump back on and we'll go through those 10 and discuss them in depth. There we go. Sandy, thank you so much for coming on. Your pictures are awesome, dude. Really love them. I'm probably going to send you at least another 5 suggestions of guns that I want for you to, beaver away at and work on. Jeremy, as always, you are a legend, sir. And thank you so much for coming on.
No problem. I enjoy the interaction with the community.
Yeah, as do we. We are a community-focused channel, and we will stay that way. So, gentlemen, thank you so much. I've had fun, and leave your suggestions down below or hop into the Discord. And we'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.